more than news. Reporting that looks for answers. 11 News at 10.
United States troops are now on duty in 139 nations around the world. The Marines have been on the move in Liberia today, following the worst fighting there in 2 months.
As reporter Terry Okita tells us, they were called in to protect 2 U.S. embassy compounds hit by mortar fire.
After a mortar strike on the American embassy in Monrovia, U.S. Marines swooped in by helicopter to protect it and evacuate foreign aid workers and journalists. An all-out battle has erupted between troops under Liberian President Charles Taylor and rebel forces who want him out.
We just sent a group of troops in to protect our interests, and we're concerned about our people in Liberia. We'll continue to monitor the situation very closely.
Caught in the crossfire, thousands of Liberians who have endured years of civil unrest. In recent weeks, the situation has escalated, and they're begging the United States to intervene and avoid a humanitarian crisis.
The situation in Monrovia is becoming desperate. The U.S. diplomatic residential compound at Greystone is crammed with over 10,000 displaced persons who have fled the recent fighting.
The West African nation of Liberia has strong historical ties to America. It was founded more than 150 years ago by freed American slaves, and the capital, Monrovia, is named after U.S. President James Monroe. But that's where the ties basically end. Before the Bush administration agrees to send peacekeepers in, it wants President Taylor to step down, something Taylor pledges he'll do only after peacekeeping forces are in place. And now, Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld has signed the order for 4,500 more Marines and soldiers to position themselves closer to Liberia. They'd be deployed for peacekeeping, evacuations, and other undetermined missions. In Washington, Terry Okita, 11 News.
Also tonight, more attacks to report on Americans in Iraq.
A remote-controlled bomb killed 1 U.S. soldier and his Iraqi interpreter. 3 other members of the 1st Armored Division squad were also hurt.
A street vendor pulled one of them out of the Humvee that was targeted, and the military says that probably saved his life. President Bush says he's trying to convince more countries to send in troops to help restore order.
Rescued American POW Jessica Lynch, still recovering from broken bones, will leave the hospital in Washington and fly home to West Virginia tomorrow. Today, she was awarded the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, and Prisoner of War medals.
Lynch's hometown of Palestine has been getting ready for her return home. They've decked out the trees with yellow ribbons and hung banners. They've even put up a permanent sign at the city limit claiming bragging rights to the state's most famous soldier. And talk about ships passing in the night. 2 brothers from Katy are getting to see each other for only a few days, as one heads to and one returns from duty in the Middle East. Brian and Kevin Kephart are petty officers with the U.S. Navy. They went to boot camp together, but some on different ships.
Houston is 3rd in the country in Latino population. We're behind Los Angeles and Miami. But a new survey of where the most Hispanics are running their own big businesses found something surprising. 11 News reporter Dave Failing has tonight's Up Close.
From entertainment to construction to restaurants, people with Spanish in their blood are doing business in Houston.
I think there's 35,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in Harris County.
35,000.
35,000.
That's a lot of mostly small businesses. But what about big business? In a city where Hispanics now make up nearly 40% of the population, it is surprisingly difficult to find just one that owns a truly big business. Big as in car dealerships or construction companies that bring in tens of millions of dollars annually. The 500 biggest such Hispanic-owned businesses in the country were ranked by Hispanic Business Magazine. Many were in Miami, a few in Fort Worth and San Antonio. But to find one in Houston, you'd have to scroll down all the way to number 69, the Plaza Group.
I am very surprised by that.
Randy Velarde owns it.
Chemical solvents.
That's his wife. The company has only a handful of employees, but has done $90 million a year in the business of selling petrochemicals.
Hispanics are as ambitious as anyone.
Why then haven't more made it as big as he has in Houston? It rarely happens overnight. And while Houston has huge numbers of Hispanics, many are relative newcomers compared to generations-old families in, say, San Antonio. Richard Hubner is with the Minority Business Council.
The Hispanic businesses have been around for a long time. The Hispanic community there is much more mature. than in Houston, which is largely fueled by immigrants.
What's more, many big businesses are initially started by young executives who left even bigger corporations, which is what Randy Velarde did when he left Texaco. But he says in Houston's dominant industry, energy, there just weren't many Hispanics.
I think it's grown. I think the strides made in just the last 5 to 10 years have been tremendous.
And one example,
It was a big step, of course.
may be Brian Rojas.
Brian's going to love it.
5 years ago, Rojas left Exxon and with two partners started Acumen, a company that develops new designs for products and stores.
It makes you feel like a star.
Exploring diverse and young, the company looks like the new Houston.
They happen to be from Puerto Rico or African American, Guam.
Rojas is one of the first in his family to go to college, and this is a dream in action.
Pursue your dream, get the education, get the odds on your side, and then do what you want to do.
And while a relatively small company now,
I look forward to you coming by here when our name is in that list and ask us how we did it.
it may very well be how Hispanics and other non-Anglos will make it big in Houston business, education, innovation, and hard work, so that in years to come, Houston won't rank so far down on the list. Dave Failing, 11 Up Close.
Well, still not bad. And here is one comparison in which Houston does do well. While it may not have any Hispanic-owned companies in the top 50, Houston does have a total of 20 in the top 500, which is twice as many as there are in San Antonio, LA, and Chicago. Reliant Energy is reaching out to the Hispanic community. The company now has a Spanish-language website with all of the features of the English version, including online bill pay.
Featuring tonight, hot weather. More of it. Southwest Houston looking over that interstate. 84 degrees with an 81-degree dew point. Mario, you walk outside and you feel like you're instantly taking a shower.
Gosh,
It's horrible.
Yeah, the heat index values were actually above 100 through about the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh, my
So it was really unusual for the Houston area. A very hot afternoon, a sweltering day, typical July fare, really, as things go here in town. Very little, if any, rain around the afternoon. We did see a few thunder showers pop up in the far eastern sections of our viewing area around the Highlands on I-10, but they didn't last too long. In fact, the heat of the afternoon pretty much vanished. These thunder showers, you can see them disappearing right off the scope later in the evening hours, but they were around, at least in a few locations, not many, but they helped put the heat down in a few locations this afternoon. Talking about sweltering heat, look at Houston's numbers this afternoon, 96 degrees. Those numbers are 2 degrees above average. Our record at 101. Numbers in the morning at 78, so it looks like we could be right back down there again tomorrow morning, but it's going to be a while before we get there, considering it's still in the 80s around town, and it's 10 o'clock at night, 83 at Hobby, 84 on Galveston Island. It's a very warm 87 at Bush, and we've been seeing sweltering numbers across North Texas throughout the weekend. A ridge of high pressure moved over the western sections and northern half of the state of Texas over the weekend. That brought a string of 100-degree days to the Red River Valley, including Dallas, Fort Worth, and points westward towards El Paso. Houston hit 96, but it looks like we're probably going to do it again tomorrow because this ridge is firmly planted across this end of the state. It's bringing across a very, very sinking air motion across the region and very warm, steamy air of the Gulf of Mexico. This high will tend to work its way back to the west, opening the door for a trough of low pressure and a weather front to dive into the state sometime around Wednesday. So we'll see a bit of a reprieve from the thunder showers around midweek, at least a reprieve from some of the heat, but it doesn't look like we're going to see too many thunder showers thereafter. It looks like the front will stall across North Texas tomorrow afternoon. Then we'll see it getting closer to Houston around the middle part of the week. Notice these thunderstorms that flare up near the western and eastern sections of the weather front across the Gulf Coast area on Wednesday. I think we'll sneak a couple of thunder showers in here, and then after that, it is all back into the mid-90s, much like tomorrow here in Houston. Our neighbors to the south saw a beautiful day. At least in Acapulco was 90. It was cool. Mexico City, 77. How will Houston fare for the next few days? Well, it looks like we'll start off with much the same weather tomorrow, and we'll double up our rain chances by Wednesday due to the proximity of the front. By Thursday, some leftover moisture, and as the storm continues to build up across the Gulf Coast on Wednesday, we'll be looking forward to some cooling downpours in some parts of the city by then. Have a great week.
In the meantime, we'll tell all.
All right.
Thanks.
She asked, and boy, did she receive, clearing her credit card debt.
A famous place on Privet Drive could be yours for the right price.
And the favorite at the Tour de France goes down hard.